Good morning. Greetings from the Institute of Global Professionals IGP. Greetings from the Institute of Global Professionals IGP. Thank you all for joining with us and staying with us till the end. Honorable knowledge seekers, today I am your host for the morning. My name is Janata Luria. I am from Bangladesh. Dear knowledge seekers, I am proud to be associated with IGP. IGP, a non-profit organization, is a social and IC certificate international education and training institute. In the last 3 years, we have already served 35 million knowledge seekers from 100 plus countries. IGP is internationally recognized and globally accredited. We are connected to more than 450 plus professions, 4,500 plus organizations. Institute of Global Professionals, IGP, ISO 9001, 2015, and 10,000 to 2018 is the training facility for skill development, which was founded in 2020 and is generic content candidate to meet demand in the global labor market by providing professional qualifications. The Institute of Global Profession is an educational institute that provides social and globally recognized and reputable service students, community resources, providing holistic social work and education. We believe that it's not effective to increase one's skill just by acquiring formal education, so we provide effective training and consultation to generate professional generation all over the world. We distribute our services locally, internationally to students, job seekers, job holders, and also for learners through respective campus locations and distance learning platforms. We are an professional and dependable institution. IGP is one of the famous online institutes from all over the world. Our vision is education is not a business, but it's part of our human right. Based on our vision, we are trying to reach all corners of the world for free webinars, seminars, course, awards, quiz competition, mentoring, and counseling, etc. On the other side, we are also trying to offer more than 100 premium services for free, like creating our portfolio website, digital builder, cover letter, motivation letter, and world knowledge paper for gathering general knowledge, which can update all the kids learning game of the free courses, converters, and many. We have to empower youth to learn to meet their expectations and become highly capable. Implement several training programs, webinars, offline online courses for youth and learners by professional trainers, speakers, and coaches how sessions are conducted by globally renowned professionals. To develop all kinds of way to promote the education of their abilities and personal skills, knowledge is the crucial for the Institute of Global Professionals. We believe the knowledge is love, light, innovation, so we try to understand the needs of today's generation and will serve them with good research and practice methods. We must have a genuine concern for the learners to represent more diversity, growth and innovation and rigor, to lead a session with professionalism, professionalism, passion and integrity. IGP members are committed to offering effective best quality services and continual improvement so that who individual who seek information can improve their skill levels and value. Before we move to the next, just be reminded, don't forget to share, tag and mention it in the comment box. Your support is very valuable. Just thank you. Moving to the next, with your continuous support, we have already completed 1,621 webinars successfully. Wow. Dear IGP speakers, participants, and evaluation, at this moment, this is a very important message for you. We changed and designed our website www.eduigp.com. On the website, we have surplus strategy and hope you will be benefited. We already launched our new website where you can find all our previous activities together with lot of new features. But one extra point is that without an account or login, you cannot enjoy services. So create your account for once with the proper information, know that with proper information you will enjoy features with missing data, you can do everything. From now on, you have to participate in live quiz competition on our website. Replace Friday, you have to join directly on our website. And I can check all our previous webinars with verification certificates. Now it's easier and time limited because after the session we will not provide you with any code for certification. You have to take part in one exam. After that, you members will receive your certificate, others not. But you can take part in one exam unlimited syllabus. If you are an IGP speaker, you can download all your previous certificate. If you are a host of an IGP, you can download the certificate of PGT. If you are an online quiz competition, you can download the certificate of participation. If you selected for lifetime membership, then you can download the certificate of lifetime membership easily. Besides this, if you participate in any art function which is combined support with IGP, you can download it also. You can install PPA and download 18 types of influence certificates from our website within a minute. Certificate of Global Professional Membership, Certificate of Global Influencer Leadership Dynamic, Certificate of External Speaker, Certificate of Social Activities Leadership, Certificate of IGP Knowledge Campaign 2020, 2021 and 2022. Certificate of Participation in English is one authentic assessment teaching line. Certificate of Participation in English is to teaching assessment as a foreign language. Certificate of Participation in English is to digital classroom management tools. English is from the new trends in education. English is the skilling organization, leadership and managerial skills. English is 6 trends and innovation mathematics education. English is 7 research and community studies. English is 8 art and teaching a special program there. English is 9 field percentage tools in mathematics. Certificate of IGP corporate ambassador, certificate of IGP campus ambassador. which you can prepare and download within minutes from now, and you can participate in 1000 plus international level quizzes with very, very study. Teaching tips for teachers, help tips for parents, help tips for teens, invitation tips for teachers, you can also join IGP. You can check out our 50 plus premium services website quickly and many more. Dear IG Coalition finished previously but lack of technical issue released in given time. This is a great opportunity to collect your previous credential with solved all issues from our website. And now you can add reset password and everything. You can check out take your dashboard all for all your web. Addition is a coordinator to check all buttons and pages on our website. Share like and say you will benefit. Thank you. But for the video and all of them, you can enjoy. At present, we are going to start our 1621 program name Humanocracy, the new HR. And our today's speaker is Sir Dr. S. Pravan Kumar. Before I hand over to the stage to Sir, I want to share a little bit about our speaker, Dean School of Commerce and Management, Bharat Institute of Higher Education Research and India. Now it's a very important moment for me to invite our speaker to IGP with his presentation. Now it's a very important moment for me to invite our speaker to IGP with his presentation.
Oh, thank you so much, ma'am. Uh, Good morning,
Now
all
the
of
stage is
you.
yours, Sir.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Good day, all of you. I am super thrilled to talk to you today from audience listening from all over the world. Thank you so much for joining today. I am super thrilled, as I've told you, and uh, grateful to IGP for organizing such wonderful sessions day in and day out, and effort to share knowledge. I think with this, we'll get into our presentation. Uh, if I'm not audible or if my slides are not moving, do let me know. Uh, Humanocracy, which is the new HR. What is this humanocracy all about? First of all, before we understand humanocracy, let us see the chronicles of disruption, of how the human race has moved from one wave to the other, because it makes sense for us to understand of why humanocracy today. So let's start with wave one. This was for 60 years from 1785 to 1845. This was the time when cotton, iron, water, and power were put to use. So the industrialization had started. It was followed by wave two, which lasted for 55 years, and this was the year when the railways came in, steam and mechanization happened. And from there, we moved on to wave three, which was steel, heavy engineering, and electricity were put to use. And then wave four was 40 years. That is when petrochemicals, electronics, and aviation started to bloom. And then wave five, the wave that all of us would have seen most probably lasted for 30 years, and this was the wave of software, digital networks, and mobility. And now, my dear listeners, we are in wave 6. Wave 6 is the era of disruptions. There are a lot of disruptions that are happening. The old is giving way to the newer ways of doing things. So, this, my dear listeners, we live in an era of disruption, and therefore, HR also needs to be disrupted. Any businesses are disrupted because if you don't disrupt, if you don't change, then you die. So I'm going to give you a list of companies. I do not know, the slides are not aligned properly. Probably it changes from one version to another. So it is not aligned properly. My version has an aligned one, nevertheless. So on one side, we have companies which are still doing great guns and they're profitable. It is because they kept disrupting themselves. On the other side, you have list of companies which have not disrupted, though they were big giants. But today they are dead and gone. So if you're not part of this disruption, then you don't get a chance to survive. So your longevity, your survival depends on your ability and agility to disrupt, to change. Let's take the first company, Facebook. As human beings, it is very innate in us to relate with each other. We are social animals, all of you know. So, Facebook gave us a virtual platform for people to relate with each other. That is their success story. They tapped in some innate need in human being of being related to one another. Now, one big religion in the world is Christianity. In it, we have this part called Catholicism. It took 2000 years for Catholicism to reach 100 million followers. But for Facebook, it just took close to 14 years to reach that 100 million followers. That is the speed at which Facebook reaches you. And they keep continuously disrupting. Look, now they call themselves Meta. The company is Meta. And they are exploring spaces of getting into augmented reality and virtual reality or mixed reality. Netflix was a company that was a video lending library. Today we don't watch movies through the DVDs and CDs or the video cassettes. So Netflix started to stream them online. They became an OTT platform. And today they've not stopped with that. They've got into production of movies. They're producing a lot of movies. That is called disruption. You keep changing according to the changes in the market. Disney, for instance, has always tried to be very creative. And let's say in their studios, in the Disneyland, if you go, they have a lot of body sensors to tell them using data analytics which are the areas which are visited by people most, which are the places which are crowded most, which are the games in Wonderland which are very popular. Depending on the body sensors, they collect data. And let's say certain kiosks are very popular and people have to wait to play that game. Then they install new kiosks of that particular games so that the waiting time is less. Look how beautiful. They are using data analytics to keep their customers happy. Microsoft, one of the trillion-dollar companies, had faced a lot of inflections in its entire state, and they're still trying to keep themselves upbeat and disruptive, very creative, in spite of facing a lot of failures and so on. We see a lot of case examples of Microsoft, but they have stayed relevant in spite of the various bureaucratic challenges that they had to face. Cambridge Analytica, the way data analytics is put to use, Donald Trump will have to thank Cambridge Analytica for becoming the president of USA. Nike was never merely a shoe company. It was always more than a shoe company. Nike does not sell shoes. They sell they sell dreams, they sell guts, they sell winning attitude and whatnot. It's always more than shoes. And look at the products now. They're all smart watches and smart gadgets related to athletics and fitness today. McDonald's customize their menu in whichever country they get in. So whichever is the staple food there, that gets into the menu. This is understanding the tastes and preferences of customers, and that is why McD is popular throughout the world. So these are companies which have constantly disrupted and have stayed very creative. On the other hand, if you see Kodak, they were the largest film producers, photo films, and Kodak was so popular. However, they missed the chance in spite of coming out with the concept of digital cameras. They were worried about their photo film business, and therefore they did not disrupt. They continued to sell their photo films, but the customers had changed, the buyers had changed. They were moving to digital cameras, and thus Kodak had to shut shop. Xerox, the office automation, office equipment makers, were in fact the first ones to develop a personal computer in their labs in Palo Alto. There was a visitor, and that young guy at that point of time was called Steve Jobs. He was amazed at the facility and the concept and the graphic user interface they were developing. But Xerox somehow did not commercialize their products, which other companies did, especially Steve Jobs did it beautifully. Border. This is a group of a chain of retail outlets which were selling books. They kept opening one store after the other, physical stores, until they reached 200, not knowing that the readers have changed the patterns. They've started to read ebooks. Borders presumed that the readers will still continue to visit their physical retail outlets built with brick and mortar to buy those physical books. No, it was not happening. Borders did not foresee the changes that were happening. It was so obvious to the user, to the reader, but Borders could not understand, and therefore they had to shut all 200 retail outlets today. eBay could have been the Amazon today. eBay was the first one to think about this online e-commerce in a different format. They could have capitalized it. They failed. Encyclopedia Britannica was one of the largest stolen books from the libraries. It is in the Guinness Book of World Records for being the most stolen books from the libraries, from the public libraries. That was the wealth of data and content that they had, which they could have capitalized, commercialized when the internet was born. They did not do it. And therefore, Wikipedia came and filled those, their shoes, filled that gap. IBM introduced computers to the world. Today, they're not into manufacturing computers. They are a consulting company. Lenovo is manufacturing personal computers and laptops on behalf of IBM. What happened? They did not disrupt. They thought personal computers were going to be mere toys. They did not look at the revolution that was waiting in the anvil, and they failed to cross the threshold. Intel, again a great company, failed to see the potential of getting into mobile business of making chips, microchips, and processors for mobile phones. They failed to see. They were still making chips only for their personal computers and laptops. They failed to disrupt. Now, all those companies which disrupted are doing well, are going great guns. However, companies which failed to disrupt, which were reluctant to change, are dead and gone. So, businesses need to understand you will have to disrupt, be it being in the era of disruption or not, you'll have to disrupt. Change is inevitable, you'll have to change according to the volatility in the market. So, what stops these companies, which have made it very big at one point of time, not to disrupt, allowing themselves to throw up their hands and die? The answer is bureaucracy. The exact opposite antonym of bureaucracy is Humanocracy. That is our topic, dear listeners. This is a fight against bureaucracy. Humanocracy is already born, and that is going to be the new HR. So, due to paucity of time, I'm not going to explain some of the best HR practices in these companies. We'll pick from here and there. There's this IT company called Tech Mahindra. Their biometrics is through facial biometric. It's a facial biometric. You record your face to mark yourself present, and when you leave the company after the day, you again go and mark your biometrics. This is your attendance. Now, what Tech Mahindra does is with artificial intelligence, they try to measure, they try to record what was the emotion of employees when they come into the company for work, and what is the emotions of their employees when they leave the company. Do they come in happy and go sad and tired, or do they come uh, with negative emotions and go out with positive emotions? That tells a lot to them about the work culture. Look how beautifully Tech Mahindra is using the artificial intelligence to understand the moods of the company, of the employees when they come to the company and when they leave the company. So, good company, a great culture makes the employees happy when they come in and happy when they go out of the company as well. At Bamboo HR, you'll have to shoot a mail to all the seniors when you make a mistake, because uh, they'll understand that there is a problem and they'll try to do amends. Everybody tries to help you out when you make a mistake, but you'll have to acknowledge it. You'll have to make people know, else people will not understand. We cover it up under the carpet, we keep the bones underneath, then the real problem would become mightier, it will metamorphose. So, to avoid that, even at the initial stages, we make it known, because failures are part of human beings. We tend to make failures. Only when we accept it and acknowledge it, make it known to people, remedial measures would be taken. Everybody at Bamboo HR will be very supportive to help you and the company overcome the mistakes that you do. In fact, there are companies uh, that document every mistakes that the employees do, every fault that they commit, and they release it as a book called the Book of Errors. The new trainees are given these books, and they say you'll have to commit two mistakes which are not documented in this book already. You'll have to do two new mistakes. The moment you commit these mistakes, let us know. We'll celebrate that and we'll document that as well. So you tell people, don't do this, they'll do exactly that. Remember what Adam and Eve did? Remember what Pandora did? It's human psyche to do something which you are told not to do. But here, there is this practice where they give you a book and say, do mistakes, but not that which is not in this book. Now, as days go by, as years roll by, it becomes very difficult for trainees to make new mistakes. However, they acknowledge you, they appreciate you, they recognize you when you do new mistakes which is not there in the book of errors. Look how beautiful, look how HR is changing. When it comes to fitness, there are several companies which will spend a bomb to establish gyms and swimming pools. Yes, in the first few days, the gyms would be full, the swimming pool also would be full. But later on, it becomes it becomes cliched. So at HSBC, Manalal Kidwai, when she was heading it, said let employees learn dances so that it is useful to them when they go for parties. So at HSBC, salsa dances were taught. Now, this is the new HR. So, these are a few examples. Or let us take Regeneron Pharma. They allow you to work on projects on to develop drugs which you are very passionate about, in spite of the return on investment not being very high for the company. They allow you to pursue your passion in spite of that not monetarily contributing significantly to the company. So that is Regeneron format. Pure insurance, they give you $1,500 flat to do whatever you want. You want to do an online course, you want to donate it to charity, you want to spend it on yourself to upgrade your skills. You do whatever you want. So the company does not determine what training you need. It is up to you. They give you the resources, the financial resources, and let you develop yourself, chisel yourself. So look at the evolutionary trajectory that HR has gone through. It has been transformational, and the journey will still continue. HR started as welfare officer, safety and workers compensation. These were some of the areas that HR was managing. Today, HR is involved in boardroom decisions, part and parcel of strategic decision making. So the road from welfare officer to strategic thinkers and decision makers, that is the way HR has evolved. So these are some of the new roles. Have you ever heard about them? HR evangelist, look how beautiful. HR data scientist. These are some of the new changes, disruptions in roles that had happened in the world of HR. And this is HR 4.0, wherein the HR is not confined to one particular task such as recruitment or timekeeping or learning and development or payroll processing. Today, we focus on the company's strategic results permeated by technology. If you're not technologically savvy, you cannot be a great HR manager because technology is part and parcel of HR today. So, digital transformation, minimum HR intervention, human intervention, more opportunities than in the past. That is what HR offers today. So, what is changing? People, referring to the employees, the workforce in a company, need to reassess themselves to align to technology. That is what I had been trying to tell you. Recruitment is now more aligned, responsibility is more towards personalization today. So the HR manager's task is more towards personalization of whatever is being done in a company. So these are the technologies that are already in place: robotic process automation, artificial intelligence, and virtual reality. All of it already been deployed. Uh, the English Army is using virtual reality and posting a lot of virtual reality in YouTube of their various simulation operations of various terrorist attacks and things like that. They're all simulations. However, uh, the recruitment has significantly increased for the English Army because it relates to the younger generation. This VR relates to the younger generation. So we had been talking about all this. Video interviews are becoming very popular. There are vanguard car companies, automobile majors, wherein the car itself interviews you. You go sit in the dashboard. The AI opens you the dashboard and tells you, can you find out where is the error? It shows the blueprint of the car, and if you are a wizard, you'll be identify where actually a problem is. It will ask you to identify various pairs in a car by looking at the blueprint of the car. So all these are becoming the norm. So earlier they said think out of the box. Box is sort of our mind. All of us have a lot of preconceived notions in our mind, and the solutions that we are supposed to generate should come outside this box. However, today it is boxless thinking. Ever since the pandemic came, it became a catalytic towards this concept. So let's look at the evolution of the employees. Okay. Look at the evolution of employees. Work from a specific time period, 9 to 5. This was past. But now you work from anywhere, and there's flexi time. So this is a comparison and contrast. Earlier we had to work in the corporate office. Today it's work from anywhere. Earlier the company would give you the equipment. Today it is use of any device. Likewise, so many things are changing. So this is the evolution of the employees. Right. Let's dive into our topic, bureaucracy. What are the characteristic features of this bureaucracy? Authoritarian power structure. So the bigger a company, the more structured it is. You have an established hierarchy of different levels. So what happens? Power becomes centralized. Decision making becomes centralized. You cannot be an agile organization if you have a hierarchy of different layers of power. Today, it is not the hierarchical structure that is adopted. Today, we are moved on to a networked structure rather than a hierarchical structure. So, we are trying to move from bureaucracy to humanocracy. The antithesis of bureaucracy is humanocracy. Bureaucracy, I would say, is like our landline phones. They're outdated, but they're still with us, hanging around. So, in this bureaucratic structure, we have a lot of suffocating rules because compliance becomes very important. In an organization which is very small, it is very manageable, it is very creative, agile. The moment the organization becomes big, now you'll have to bring in discipline and compliance. You'll have to formulate policies and rules, and this stifles human creativity. And the more levels, the more politicking happens. So, larger organization, the intensity of politicking is much more higher. It becomes toxic at one point. Innovation phobia, because as individuals, people are very creative. Collectively, as a company, they're not creative. And in an organization is not as creative as the individual employees. It is because the organization does not have leeway to encourage the entrepreneurial spirit of these employees. They stifle creativity, and thus they become innovation phobic. And if you are innovation phobic, you cannot be disruptive, you cannot be creative. And when you are not disruptive, you cannot sustain in the long future. And employees naturally become disconnected in work. There are a lot of surveys which says that not many employees are engaged in a bureaucratic structure. It takes away the camaraderie, the team work that is there in a company. The human creativity is sucked out by bureaucracy. So, the fight against bureaucracy is the birth of humanocracy, which is the new HR. So can we build companies that are big and fast? And is a very important word here, because we have always built big companies. But this the problem, as I've told us, these big companies become bureaucratic. When you are bureaucratic, your decision making is slow. Bottlenecks are oftentimes at the top of the bottle. So you'll have to invert the hierarchical pyramid. You'll have to go for a bottom up approach or a no layered approach. You'll have to make the organization structure lean or networked. That is humanocracy. So if you want to build companies that are big and fast as well, then you'll have to adopt humanocracy. Because in humanocracy, you do not have the red tapeism that is prevalent in bureaucracy. Disciplined versus empowering. So uh, when you want to be compliant always, then there is very little freedom for employees to be empowered. But humanocracy will allow you to be empowered and disciplined at the same time. Let's say self-managed teams are part of the empowering process, which keeps you disciplined and empowered at the same time. Efficient and entrepreneurial. Only efficient, very difficult to become entrepreneurial, because there are a lot of flaws that may happen. There are many risks that you may take as an employee. You'll have to treat your employees like entrepreneurs, like entrepreneurs. Only then you'll be able to establish a humanocratic organization structure. Bold and prudent at the same time, not just bold, prudent as well. So this will be the characteristic features, the advantage, the pivots of being in a humanocratic organization. So this tagline summarizes humanity above bureaucracy. This is the tagline, the philosophy, the case in of this company called Butzog in Netherlands. Butzog has 11,000 nurses and 4,000 domestic helpers. They do not have a hierarchy. They are put in myriads of self managed teams. So the team members will have to take turns to act as mentors, explorers, planners, doers, social media marketers, and whatnot. So it is highly decentralized. Decentralization is a characteristic mark of humanocracy. So you can build companies like Butzog, the companies of the future, if you are adopting humanocracy, for which you need to put humanity above bureaucracy. So look at what Elon Musk says. Robots will be able to do everything better than us. Everything. Everything. Before ChatGPT came, we thought there are certain things only human beings can do because the machines cannot think. Let's take creative slogan writers, content developers. Only human beings can do that. Who said so? Today, ChatGPT is creating wonderful creative content, is able to coin a lot of taglines, do a lot of creative copywriting, matching with human beings. They might surpass human beings, or they have already surpassed. Is a question. So there was a time when people like Henry Ford said, why do I get a whole person when I just want a pair of hands? All I want is a pair of hands. Why do I need to pay the whole person? That was the way they looked at human beings, from from Henry Ford to Elon Musk, who says robots will be able to do everything better than us. So when robots are going to do everything better than us, what are we going to do? Thus, humanocracy becomes imperative. We still cannot keep carrying our landline phones along with us. We need to disrupt this. Let's take Intel. Intel was able to pack 100 million transistor onto a single square millimeter of a silicon. Millimeter of a silicon, 100 transistors. But the same company failed to understand that they had to move on to supply chips to mobile phones. They failed to see this because bureaucracy had crept into Intel. Bureaucracy will not let them look at the opportunities which are written on the wall, will blind them to the elephant in the room. This is the danger of adopting bureaucracy. So, here are some quick examples of companies which did not change, which did not disrupt. Google, a brand to reckon with, could have easily have gone into the social media space. They did not do. By the time Google Plus came, it was so late. Facebook was already dominant, and Google Plus eventually failed because they were slow. You have to be fast. You are a huge company, but still you need to be agile and fast. eHarmony was a very popular dating app. I mean, they were into internet, but they failed to convert themselves into apps. Tinder did it, and today Tinder has grown leaps and bounds. iTunes was a great idea, but very late. They allowed Spotify to take over. eBay, as I've told you, could have been the new Amazon. They failed to capitalize. So, why is this change in the digital space very important? 7 lakh hours of video on YouTube is uploaded every day. 95 million photos are posted in Instagram. 1300 new apps are getting into the Google Play Store. 3 million blogs every day written in WordPress. It is very important to understand the speed at which things are happening. So these are some data about why the workforce is not engaged because of the bureaucratic behavior. So bureaucracy must die. If you don't allow bureaucracy to die in your company, then your company will die. This is what thousands and thousands of case studies of all big companies have taught us. Dinosaurs, because they were so big, took existence for granted. Today they are extinct. Cockroaches will never take their existence for granted. They will be paranoid about their survival. So cockroaches are living with us. Cockroaches presumably will live even after us because they never take things for granted. So, if you ask me for a model about humanocracy, I would suggest this. In bureaucracy, the institution comes first, then the individual, and the output comes. Whereas in humanocracy, you put people at the first spot, process and methods, way of doing things, second to people, not preceding people. They're not primary. Methods and processes and protocols are after people, after human creativity and intelligence, after human empowerment and engagement. And then you don't just create outputs, you create impacts. Dear listeners, bureaucracy will give you outputs, but humanocracy will give you impact. Aim for impact, strive for impact, because they are going to sustain in the future. So, this is a model for work. You see, they are divided into six. So, first layer is discipline, being compliant to the rules and regulations of a company. Second one is diligence, you use your hard work and your prudence. Third one is expert is your skill set to do a job. Now, these three are the basis, are very important, but please understand they do not create value. What creates value for the company is the higher order needs, initiatives, human creativity, and the dare to take risks. The entrepreneurial spirit is what I would call the dare. So, if you want the employees to inculcate the higher hierarchical needs such as initiative and creativity, daring, then you are adopting the humanocracy model. If you are confining yourself with the first three models, the first three bases of discipline, diligence, and expertise, then you are bureaucratic, the workforce will be undermined and may not contribute the significant value that a company requires today. So there was this project called the Atlas Project. There were 3,000 scientists from 180 institutions across the world. The project was a super success. However, what you need to know is there was absolutely no hierarchy, no CEO. Nobody tells the other what he or she should do. It was a totally networked structure, and the mission eventually was successful. What I'm trying to tell you is humanocracy is already tried and tested. Give up your landline phones. I've talked about three giants in Microsoft: Gates, Bill Gates, Steve Ballmer, and Satya Nadella. Search engines, after Google came out with a search engine, the employees at Microsoft also came out with a similar concept, but they did not even get time to meet their boss Bill Gates at that point of time to present their search engine. By the time they met him and explained, it was already a decade, wherein thereafter Microsoft comes out with its own search engine. Steve Ballmer was shown a prototype of, of what we call the iPads today. iPads were created by Apple, but 1 year before Apple came out with this concept, it was already developed in Microsoft by their employees. But Steve Ballmer said this does not has Windows operating system. He was upset with that and he shelved that project. And you know what ripples iPad created when it came from Apple's tables. It should have come from Microsoft. When Satya Nadella took over Microsoft in 2014, he did something very, very sensible. He said, in Microsoft, the hub seems to be the personal computer, which is not. The personal computers and MS Office is not the hub in Microsoft. It is the cloud that should be the hub. And thus, he made Azure as the pivot of Microsoft, which I think is a great move, a great strategy. This is called understanding the nuances of business, allowing disruptions to happen. So, in a survey, 63% of the top officials were reluctant to surrender power. Remember, I reiterate, bottlenecks often come from the top. Bottlenecks are on the top. So look at a comparison I have made about Microsoft and its pioneers. GUI, graphic user interface, was introduced by Apple iMac in 1984, but only in 1987 Microsoft comes out with Windows 2.0. AOL came up with dial-up network, MSN only 1995. Web browser Netscape was the first 1994. Internet Explorer 1 year thereafter. Search engines by Google 1998. Bing comes very late 2009. Digital music Apple iPod Zune comes in 2006, 5 years after Apple. Online video YouTube comes 2005. Soapbox comes 1 year late by the time YouTube becomes so popular. Cloud applications Google Documents come at 2006. Office 365 comes only at 2011. So this is what happens to companies which are bureaucratic. The employees individually per se can be very creative, but collectively the organization will not be creative and agile and will not be pioneers if bureaucracy is the norm in a company. So today you need this sync of a skills for a CEO, not just one, sync of all these skills. Innovation instincts of Steve Jobs combined with the political skills of the Singapore Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew and the emotional intelligence of Mother Teresa all put together is the required skills of a CEO today. So the idea of the CEO as the captain of the ship is bankrupt. It is the genius ordinary. It is no more the extraordinary superhumans. It is not a one superstar. It is a collection of your employees who are all stars in their own sense. So let's quickly look at a case study of Nuka Steels, the most creative steel company in the entire world. They have put humanocracy at work. These are numbers. Let's not dwell on it. Let's look at this. So they have decentralized their entire company. It is not just one entity. They have decentralized it, and there are 75 units. It is not one company. The one company has been divided into 75 units. Separate profit and loss accounts to each unit. Team rewards differ from one unit to another. It is not for the entire company as a whole. The head office does not acts as the power center. It is merely a corporate bank. It has only two executive ranks, the CEO and CFO, and nobody thereafter. Just two ranks. This is the lean structure that this profit making most creative steel company in the world has. Humanocracy. This is a success story of implementing humanocracy. So, what is the empowerment that happens at Nuker? They trim labor cost during lean period. Who? Each unit heads. They decide. It is not the CEO, the CFO, or there are not other layers, anyways. So it is all decentralized. Hiring decision is made by the team members, not the HR team, because there's no HR. Reverse accountability, where the top guys are held accountable and not the first level workers. They are the ones who are responsible for adopting the new technology as well. Cross training happens, capital spending decisions, all this is done by the unit heads and not centralized. They're all very decentralized and thus empowered. So look at the spirit of humanocracy. We don't build steel, we build people. This is what I meant by putting human beings before bureaucracy. So another company is hire every employee is treated as an entrepreneur. So, from a monolithic business to a micro enterprise, they crowd-funded one project, and they are very split into very small units that are so agile, and thus they are one of the successful companies that you can think about. Look what Zhang, the CEO of Hire, says. We want to encourage employees to become entrepreneurs because people are not a means to an end, but an end in themselves. Our goal is to let everyone become their own CEO, and they're moving in the right direction, profitably, sustaining in the long run. This is one beautiful example. This entity is called the Alcoholics Anonymous. They have 12 million members. No hierarchy, absolutely no hierarchy. 12 million members. All of them meet in small groups in different localities. No certificates, no supervision, no monitoring. They come as volunteers, spend time, no professionals allowed, therapists and physicians are not allowed. These volunteers share their personal experiences of how they got rid of these practices of substance and liquor abuse. So they don't bring in guest speakers or therapists to an onlooker or to the corporate. It looks so unprofessional. It looks so informal and uncreative. But this is a very, very powerful organization, social entity, which has helped millions and millions kick this habit of substance and liquor abuse. So the first shall be the last shall be the first. This is the spirit of HR 4.0. This is a picture of the Tatas. The Tatas are a great brand in India. At the bottom line of those people who are kneeling down, you can see a guy with a suit. He is Ratan Tata, the erstwhile head of the Tata group of companies. You know, being the boss, he kneels down. Generally, it is the trainees or the first level people who will need to kneel down. And you see the boss himself kneeling down, not just kneeling down in action, in spirit as well. So, if you want to go fast, go along. If you want to go far, go together. This is the African proverb, and also collectively explains what humanocracy is all about. Thank you. I'm open to questions if there is time. Yes, ma'am, I'm done. Okay, if you have any questions, you can type it in the comment section. I'll be happy to read them and answer your queries. Thank you, Isaiah. I just read your comment welcoming me. Thank you. Hope you had a wonderful session. If there are questions, you can type it in the box. I'll be able to read them and answer for you. Thank you, Luma. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Rachel. I appreciate it. Oh, thank you, Isaiah. Thank you once again. Okay, let me presume there are no questions. Ma'am, over to you. I think you can take over from here on. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you. Ma'am, I presume there are no questions. You can take over, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your use content presentation, which can impact our knowledge seekers surely. After your presentation, I hope our knowledge seekers can learn something new, which was our only intention, learn and grow together as a knowledge seeker. Once again, thank you so much, dear sir, for your presentation. Now, once again, thank you so much, Honorable Sir, for your time in IGP. We have learned a lot from your new topic. It will add some value to our day-to-day activity along with our new academic and professional goals. Honorable Sir, hope to see you again with a new topic and new day. Thank you, sir. Take care. IGP knowledge seekers, it's time for the IGP knowledge seekers, it's time. Dear IGP knowledge seekers, it's time for the most engaging part of this webinar, which is an online quiz competition, which is our regular webinar activity. Now, time for the online quiz competition. To join the online quiz competition properly, please follow my instructions carefully. For some technical problem, you cannot get your quiz from our website. So, to join our quiz, you have to go www.slido.com and do the quiz to this 906321. After a short video, let's start our quiz session. People are going to Canal San Francisco, Milano, Hollywood, Detroit, plants are going million hours. That's 5.9 million over 6 million hours. Or up to 5.9 million for 7 current is 20% polarized lots of fringes with a strong material of the humanitarian observation currently agricultural cultivated resources polarized attractive point is are age structure significantly represents the area of the new banner wherever it is done. First are so that I can say first share their experiences. Our discussion later leadership substance having a training of more than stuff. One guide on stuff. Consumption is guys 78% people are right here. Our solution is nothing obvious system outbreak because it's long select the incorrect reason reasons we are switching. Having one place for all people processes option to submit personal expense. Alternative registration like for zero from London to New York. Congratulations again to our online class student participation in the subject. Congratulations will take place to finalize the result. And after this, we share online quiz competition certificate on our website and official website, Institute and Global Profession. And then another session can stay provided scheduled to never is class. Learning with us definitely 60 students. Be happy and this is free again again. When participation is visible. And live a happy life. Thanks for not people are seeing advertising. Before I say hit the like button again once. Thanks to all our students, study active participation as well. See you in the next session. Thank you.